Okay, so we're getting to that time of year again where we're excited because it's time to make those New Year's goals, all those excitement about who we want to be, what we want to change. But there can also be a bit of defeat just in looking at the previous year of all the ways that we have not accomplished our goals and been who we wanted to be this year. And I think sometimes we get frustrated with the fact that we have these limits and we feel like, if this would just change, then I wouldn't have this problem and I could be this, and our limits are what's holding us back. But I just want to challenge you to really ask you, is it the limits that are holding you back, or are the limits just an excuse not to do the work? Because often with any goal and any change, it's going to take work, and it can be really hard sometimes to make that change. And so it's easy to come up with excuses, and limits are an easy excuse to go in, well, I can never do that because of this, or I can never, and you're just really coming up with excuses. And so I would challenge you to look at your goals and go, have I been making excuses because I feel like I'm limited in this way? Could I be progressing faster? Could I actually move forward on this goal? Is this just an excuse? Is it getting in the way? So quick insert here. When it comes to limits, don't look at limits and say, I can't do this. Instead, when you face limits, say, how can I make this the best I possibly can with the place I am and what I've been given? Because I think limits, honestly, can really be a blessing in that they define your boundary with which you have to work within. If you don't have limits, it can become too big, and how do you even make a decision on how to move forward? But those limits force you to have to make a decision within certain boundaries. And so that can actually be a blessing, and you can get so creative to work within those limits to accomplish your goals. And so I'd really say, I'm learning to use my limits as a strength and really lean into them. Now, I'm not saying that you can just ignore your limits and live as if they're not there. Just go out and accomplish your goals no matter what. Splurge and live like they're not there. We have to get creative, and we have to learn to work within the boundaries that we've been given. And I think that when you stop using limits as an excuse, you might be amazed at where that takes you and how far you can go on those goals. As an example of this for me, it was when I was expecting our first baby, and I felt like we had a tight budget and I had all these limits as far as what I had to work within. And sometimes it's frustrating because as a mom, you want to go buy nice things and new things, and you're just feeling like everything's so expensive. And so I just got into this habit of just being like, I can't afford that, I can't afford that, I can't afford that. And then I actually sat down and I started to actually think about, do I even care about that? I'm like, no, I don't care about that. So why do I care that I can't afford it, right? What do I care about? And I started to make the list of the things that I actually cared about for a baby, which just sometimes sounds silly, but sometimes it can be easy to just not define your goals actually because you think that they're so far off limits. And so I sat down and really defined the goal, and I said, what do I actually want? And then I started looking at things and going, okay, and if I were to buy that item, what would I want it to be without money being an issue? And I started looking to go, well, I want this, I want this, I want this. And all of a sudden I really started to define it. And then I started to prioritize my list. And before I knew it, I was able to get all of those items that I actually cared about and the things that I actually wanted. And I was like, I thought that I couldn't afford all this stuff, but I got the things I cared about. That was a huge lesson to me, just in how much having limits sometimes make it so you don't actually define your goal, and then it's really hard to move towards your goal. But if you define it and you prioritize it, it's amazing what you can do with that. And so I just want to leave you with that challenge as you are coming up to this new year, and just work within your limits, get creative, and go make the life you want to happen.
Hit the like button, subscribe below. Oh, oh.